Okay, I will do a couple of these to get you going, then I'll try to get the other ones done to help you out. So here we go. For the first set, all of these, they're having you combine like terms, combining like terms together, and then solving a two-step equation. Look, all of these have you combine these like terms together. And once those like terms are combined together, then say two-step equation. So if I'm looking at number 5 there, combining that 1v positive with negative 5v, that would give me, if I write it down here, that would give me negative 4v. So I have that negative 34 right there, equal, and then that 1v negative 5v gives me negative 4v. And then I still have that plus 42. And this is a two-step equation. The way it looks is complex, but I promise you it's nothing more than just solving a simple two-step equation like this. And I'll get rid of that. If I was you, I would take this and flip it around because it looks kind of weird the way it is. Flip it around so it looks more familiar. So you have negative 4v plus 42 equals negative 34. And then remember how tough these are. You're going to have to subtract 42. That's the opposite of plus 42. You're going to have to combine that negative 34 and negative 42. You're going to have to bring down that negative 4 with the v. Negative 34 and 42 gives me negative 76. And then my next step right there, the opposite of timesing by negative 4, because it looks like you're going to plus, but the opposite of this timesing by negative 4 is dividing both sides by negative 4. And then you got to know that this v is going to be positive, and then you have to know how to divide 76 by 4. I'm going to run and get my calculator. So 76 divided by 4, that gives me positive 19. All right, the other one, number 8. Number 8 has 6c positive minus 4c, so that just becomes negative 49 equals 2c minus 13. And again, you could flip it around, so that's a normal looking equation. You could write that as 2c minus 13 equals negative 49. And then all of these are having you do a two-step equation. I'm going to plus 13. And then this one, you got to be careful because you have negative 49 with positive 13. So 13 of those positives cancel away negative 13. So that in the long run gives me, if I find the difference and keep the sign of the bigger number, gives me negative 36, not positive, negative. And then right there, the opposite of timesing by 2, I'm dividing by 2. So dividing that negative 36 by 2. So if I do that, that gives me 18. And then, of course, that's negative because the positive divided by negative. So after all this is done, my answer for this one is C equals negative 18. Sorry, I had to write it on top. All right. This page right here, or this word problem here, which I'll send back to you eventually in the longer version. This page right here has you distribute first and then have a two-step equation. So remember distributing. If I do number 19 and 20 here, maybe distributing has you take that number in front of the parentheses and times by both things inside there. So watching out for this negative right here. This gives me x minus 2x minus 20, because I'm timesing negative 2 times positive 10 equals 12. And now I'm going to combine like terms. That 1x right there minus 2x, that gives me negative 1x minus 20 equals 12. And now it's a two-step equation. I'm going to plus 20 That gives me negative 1x equals 32. And then remember right there, that's not considered solved. The opposite of timesing by negative 1, dividing by negative 1. So my final answer there is x equals negative 32, knowing your negative rules. All right, number 20, if I do that one's 19. 20, if I distribute and I leave that negative 15 alone, that gives me negative 15 equal, distributing right there gives me 5 times 3q, I guess that's a q, 15q, 5 times negative 10 gives me negative 50, and then I have that minus 5q from the original problem. This has you combine like terms, and then it's a two-step equation. This one, I would suggest flipping around. So you have negative 15 equal 15q minus 5q gives me 10 of those q's minus 50. And if I was you, I would take that and flip it around. Let me try to shrink this down a little bit if it lets me. Oh, it's not going to let me. So if I flip it around, that gives me 10q minus 50 equals negative 15. And then I'm going to add 50 right there. And knowing my negative rules, I got to know what negative 15 plus positive 50 is. So knowing that 15 of those negatives are going to cancel 15 of those positives. So I'm going to subtract or find the difference. And then the sign of the bigger number means there's more positives left over. This is 35. I'm going to divide by 10. And that gives me, when I divide 35 by 10, that gives me, I think 3.5. So Q equals 3.5. And try to show you we're vertical. I just ran out of space. I would have shown my work vertical if I had the chance. All right, here we go. Couple of these. These problems have you find common denominator before you solve the top. So this guy right here, if I do 24 and 27, this is over 9, or this 9 is over 1. So I got to find a common denominator. This one has 9, 2, and 18. I got to find a common denominator. This one has 5, 6, and 1. I got to find common denominators. So for this guy, the common denominator 6 means I'm going to times this by 6 to get that, times this by 6 to keep that fraction equivalent. So if I do number 24 here, 24 gives me j over 6 minus, and then 9 times 6 is 54 equals 5 over 6. And then remember, 54 over 6 is in disguise negative 9. So now I take just the top part and solve that. So if I solve just the top part, I have j minus 54 equals 5. And then if I plus that 54 right there, that gives me what j is. J would have to be 58 for this problem to stay true. All right, if I do 27 here on the side, my common denominator for that one's going to be 18. So I'm going to times 9 by 2 and 2, top and bottom by 2. I'm going to times this one by 9 to get that denominator. So over here on the side, after all that, I get 2b. When I multiply the top by 2, I get 18 on the bottom. I get minus 9 over 18 equal to that 5 over 18. That doesn't change. And now I just focus on just the top. So just that top part gives me 2b minus 9 equals 5. And then I'm going to plus that 9 right there. And that gives me 2b equals 14, and then divide by 2, gives me B has to be 7 for this answer to be right. All right, so there's a little glimpse. I'll send you a more detailed version later.